Hello, today is November 12th, 2020. My name is Anisa Rodriguez and I'm interviewing Liliana Sanchez for the University Library Special Collections and Archives at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, hereafter abbreviated as UTRGV. This project is in partnership with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Please know, Ms. Liliana Sanchez, that the interview will be placed in the University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV and shared with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. If there is anything that you do not wish to answer or talk about, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there is something that you want to talk about, please bring it up and we'll talk about it. The University Library Special Collections and Archives will archive your interview along with any other photographs or other documentation that you are willing to share. UTRGV University Library will retain copyright or non-exclusive right to the interview and any other materials you donate to special collections and archives at UTRGV. Because we are not conducting this interview in person, I need to record your consenting to making sure that you agree with our interview procedures before we continue. So I'll ask you a series of 6 questions. Please say, yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree after each question. Number 1, do you give University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV consent to archive your interview and your materials at UTRGV University Library?
Yes, I agree.
Number 2, do you grant UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives right, title, and interest in copyright over the interview and any materials that you provide?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to allow UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant the University Library Special Collections and Archives consent to share your Zoom interview with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin for inclusion in the Voices of a Pandemic Oral History mini project, which will include posting the interview on the internet?
Yes, I agree.
As you recall, we previously filled out a pre-interview form. We use information from the pre-interview form to help in research. The entire form is kept in a secure Voces server at the University of Texas at Austin. Before Voces sends it to UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives, we would have stripped out any contact information for yourself or family members, so that will not be part of your public file. Your public file will only be accessible at UTRGV University Library. The final 2 questions ask for your consent on what I just described. Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview with your public file available to researchers at UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives?
Yes, I agree.
On occasion, UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and Voces receives requests from journalists who wish to contact the interview subjects. We only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you consent for us to share your phone number or your email with a journalist?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you for your consent. Your experience and stories mean a lot to us at UTRGV Special Collections and Archives. I look forward to what you say in your interview. Questions I will now ask. Liliana, thank you for your time. Your stories and experience are very important to us at UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and the Voces Project. Particularly for us at UTRGV Special Collections, we are committed to preserving the stories of Mexican Americans and Latinos from South Texas and the Rio Grande Valley, and those who work closely with these populations during the COVID-19 pandemic. Because you will have firsthand experience of caring for and losing someone who has contracted the coronavirus COVID-19, and because you are a daughter, a sister, a mother, and a friend who is knowledgeable of the ways COVID-19 has affected yourself and others in your inner circle, I know that you have many meaningful stories and experiences to share on how COVID-19 has impacted those roles you carry out in your life. So before I ask you to share stories about your life in this pandemic, tell us, who is Liliana Sanchez?
My name is Liliana Sanchez. I'm a 52-year-old stay-at-home mother of 3, 2 boys, 1 girl. I am a homemaker. We have a ranch, which keeps us very busy and occupied, especially right now with the spreading of the COVID virus. It keeps us active and learning and everything in everyday life.
Okay. So the first question I want to ask you is, how did you first hear about COVID-19? How did you learn about it?
We learned about, or I learned about it through the television. It was everywhere in the news.
Any particular channel that you look at?
ABC News.
What was your first reaction to the information about COVID-19?
My first reaction was being afraid, wanting to know if they could control it. Hopefully it would came up in China first, but hopefully it would have not gone here to the United States.
Okay. At what point did you realize this pandemic was a serious life-altering event, or did you not think it was serious? Why?
Yes, I thought it was very serious because a lot of people, there was a lot of fatalities in China, starting in China and then spreading to other countries, which eventually came to the United States.
Over the last few months, what news media, social media, or other sources do you rely on to keep you informed about the coronavirus COVID-19?
ABC World News is what I usually pay attention to.
Can you share with me what you understand about COVID-19 as an infectious disease? Likewise, can you share with me what you don't understand about this new coronavirus COVID-19?
It is an infectious disease because it's spreading everywhere. What I don't understand is how some people get infected with it and others I see really don't have any side effects. Everybody's immune system is very different.
Okay. Would you take the first COVID-19 vaccine available on the market? Why or why not?
I personally wouldn't. I would want to get more research on it done first to see how other people react to it.
Okay. Does your family hold the same beliefs as you about COVID-19? Or are there some members who take it more seriously or lightly?
We're about in the same situation. We all take it seriously and we're trying to do our best to be cautious in everyday life.
Okay. In the early months of the pandemic, when you were on lockdown, was your family practicing the recommendations to stay home and only leave for the essential functions like groceries, the doctor, etc.?
Yes, we were following all those orders. We were just staying at home, just going out for essentials, just out for groceries and essential needs. That's the only thing we would go out for.
How proactive was the family regarding personal protective equipment and social distancing?
We were practicing everything. We were using all necessary items like Clorox wipes, hand sanitizer, washing our hands frequently, trying to abide by all that.
Would you all wear masks every day, every time you went out?
If when we went out, yes. At home, we would not.
Did you visit any family members during the recommended stay-at-home order?
Not by our choice, only when necessary that we needed to abide by helping our families. That's the only time we would go out.
Was anyone that you knew sick from the virus? If so, whom?
My family members, my in-laws were all diagnosed with the virus.
Were you and your family members around them when they were ill? If so, what functions did the family attend together? If you didn't know they were sick, when did you find out?
We found out a little later when we were with them. We had gone to my in-laws for to help my father-in-law because he's bedbound. He needs necessary help to help him change him, and that's when we were there for an occasion of that manner. That's when I think we all got infected.
Okay. Once you found out they were ill, what course of action did you take to monitor for symptoms?
We got tested. We were just relying on if we had any symptoms like fevers, coughs, colds, or diarrhea. And once we started noticing that some of us had some of those symptoms, we immediately went to check ourselves. And a week later, they told us all that we were infected.
In our pre-interview, you shared that your husband died from COVID-19. Can you tell me when he was sick and when he passed, before we talk more about his story and yours as he fought the virus?
He fell ill around the 27th, 28th of July of 2020. That's when we noticed he was with a fever for a couple of days, which would never go away. He went to check himself, and they diagnosed him with the virus, and they quarantined us for 2 weeks. Then shortly after, my kids became ill from that also. So we stayed home. They gave him medication immediately. He took all the medication, and but at a certain level, he started getting worse. That's when we had to take him to the urgent care.
Okay. But when did you begin noticing he was sick? How did you think he contracted it?
I think he contracted it with his family members, because other than that, we would never go out anywhere. We were very limited in going out. We were trying to social distance everything.
Did your husband get tested immediately? If so, where did he go to get tested, and did he have to pay?
He went to his primary doctor, to the Valley Medical Arts Association. After that, he had to pay. His insurance helped pay most of the cost.
Okay.
I think we just had to co-pay a small amount.
How much time passed before your husband Albert saw the doctor, and what made him go?
It was around 5 days prior, because of the fever. It was just a fever at first, but he kept taking Tylenol to control it, but it never went away. It just controlled it.
Okay. What precautions were taken at home to prevent the spread?
Not much. We never thought he was seriously ill, so we really didn't take much precautions.
When you say you didn't take much precautions, what kind of things were happening that you feel that maybe you should have?
I think he should have been isolated in another room, which he did not do, and used more hand sanitizers around the house, a mask, and wipes to clean out all the germs.
Were other family members affected, and if so, who?
Yes, my 3 kids were also affected by it.
And so you didn't get sick?
I went to get tested, but they never said that I was or was not. They never even replied to me. So I think I was too.
Oh, okay, so you never got your results?
Never.
And where had you gone to go get tested? At the same place?
At the Isaac Garza or something park in Westlaco.
Oh. So you had never received the results then?
No, I never received them. The National Guard, I think, was the one doing the testing, and they got my email, they got my phone number, but I never got a response back.
What was Albert's mindset toward COVID-19 before and after he contracted the virus?
He was actually very careful about it. He did not want to go out. We used to go out quite a bit before. When we started seeing that we were in lockdown, we really wouldn't go anywhere, just to our family members. Other than that, we tried to avoid the stores, restaurants, and everywhere.
Okay. When he was sick, what was the course of treatment that was offered to him?
Medication. They gave him 5 medications.
Do you know the name of the medications that they may have given him?
Yes. One was a syrup called Brom PSE DM syrup. The other one was Loratadine dexamethasone,
Okay.
ivermectin, azithromycin. Also, they gave him 5 medications.
Okay. Was this treatment for COVID COVID-19 costly, or did he have insurance coverage to help offset the costs?
He had the insurance coverage, which we had just a small portion to pay in the medications and the treatments, everything.
Was he taking all his medications just as the doctor prescribed?
Yes, he was. He was very, he wanted to get better. He was fighting it as much as he could.
Did Albert use any home remedies given to alleviate the symptoms, like herbs or folk remedies like teas?
Yes, he was also taking eucalyptus leaves with honey and lemon peel with honey. He was taking those two teas.
Did they seem to work?
Yes, they did. He would tell me it would help him feel better when he would drink them.
When did you all decide, or who decided to go either to the standalone emergency clinic or to the hospital? What were the reasons that the decision was made?
The last time we were with him, he was starting to feel a little better, but then at the last point, he started running out of breath so much, like if he was running. Every time he would get up, he was out of breath. And that's when we were knowing it was more serious. So we called his doctor immediately, and they told us to go directly to the urgent care.
What hospital did he go to? And did they allow you to stay with him or go to the hospital with him?
We went first to the urgent care. After the urgent care, the ambulance took him to McAllen Medical Center.
Were there beds available to accommodate him, or did he require ICU or special accommodations? If so, did you have to wait for a bed or a unit bed to open up? And if so, for how long?
There was beds available. He was in ICU at first, and yes, there were beds available for him.
How long was he in ICU?
For about 5 days.
And how long was he in the hospital for?
10 days.
When Albert was in the hospital, did you all communicate by cell phone? If you did, would you like to share some of your final conversations?
Yes, we could only communicate by cell phone or texting also. And he didn't like it there at the hospital. He was very lonely. Nobody could visit him. He was very depressed there. But I know he was trying to fight it. They were giving him oxygen. That's why he had to be at the hospital. And plus, they told me he already had pneumonia when he arrived at the hospital. So that was why he was so out of breath and couldn't breathe. But
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. In the conversations that you had, he was able to talk freely, or it was more texting?
It was more texting because with the mask of the oxygen, he could not really speak.
In the pre-interview, you stated he received convalescent plasma. Was that easy to request, or did you have to wait for a while for this treatment? Did this treatment help Albert?
He had to wait till like probably 7 days to receive the plasma. Then he received it, and I think he did feel a little bit better with the plasma because I think he did improve a little bit.
Can you please share the story of the day that Albert passed?
The day he passed, the day before, in fact, he had never really called. That day he called me twice. He could speak a little bit better. And he was telling us he missed us. He wanted to come home. And then I told him, you're sounding a lot better compared to the other days. I think you're going to be able to come home soon. Then the next day, he just was worse. They called me in the morning that he went into cardiac arrest, and they revived him. And they asked me if that would happen again, if I chose to do that for them to revive him again to help him or not. And I said, of course. And then shortly after that, like maybe 40 minutes, he went into cardiac arrest and he could not make it anymore. They told me he passed away that morning.
Okay, sorry. After Albert's death, was his body released in a timely manner for burial?
No, he had to be put in a FEMA trailer for about 7 or 8 days because the morgues, everything was so packed that we had to wait in line for there to be a space for him.
So his body was in a mobile morgue for 7 days?
For 7 days, yes.
Was he cremated or buried?
He was cremated.
What led to that decision?
We had always discussed that previously. He had always told me he wanted to get cremated if something were to happen to him.
Okay, so it wasn't discussed like when he was in the hospital then.
No, that was a way before.
How has Albert's death impacted your family emotionally and financially?
Emotionally, we were such a close family. It was hard at first, but then I know he would want us to move on and do what he enjoyed and showed his kids. So we kept moving on with that. And about financially, no, he always had a good job. So he had we were depending on all that from Social Security that we received. It's helping a lot.
And he had a retirement plan or something that?
Yes, he had a retirement plan, and all he worked throughout his life also.
How has this tragedy affected your view on COVID-19?
More seriously, before I really never thought it would happen to any of the people I knew, but once I saw that it impacted quite a bit of people that I knew, that some of other family members passed away all because of this virus.
Okay. Is the family and yourself being more precautious? And if so, how?
Yes, we are being more precautious, not going out as much, always using hand sanitizer, mask, especially social distancing, everything we can, or not even to try to go out as much as before.
Is your family receiving any financial help since Albert's passing? Or that you are, such as like what kind of things are you receiving?
Just nothing financially, just from the Social Security. That's all we are receiving.
Are you satisfied with the local response to COVID-19 in the Edcouch area and Hidalgo County?
I think they could do a better job in enforcing the mask and limiting the people going out only when really necessary. I think they need to shut down again to control it better.
Are you satisfied with the state response to COVID-19 led by Governor Abbott?
I think he can be more restricted on everything also, like shutting down the bars and other situations, not group gatherings at all, or keep the social distancing and require the mask everywhere.
Are you satisfied with the national response to COVID-19 led by President Trump and his administration?
Not really, because I don't think he's even abiding by it. He should be the good example, showing everybody that we need the mask, which he does not even use, so we can all follow.
Okay. If you had the power to respond to COVID-19, what would you do differently, if anything?
We should have banned, like all the other countries coming in, being more stricter on travel. And so we would have kept it under control. And of course, the mask, always use a mask everywhere.
This is a special year in our national democracy because it's a presidential voting year. Did you vote? And if so, did you notice or do anything different because of COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes, I voted, and yeah, not really about nothing different, just my right to vote.
Okay. So nothing about COVID-19 led to a different choice or the choice you made?
Yes, well, I think maybe yes.
Yes?
Yes,
Would
on
you like
that, yes.
to that? What kind of decisions that made you vote differently?
To be more mandating more the virus. be more restricted with it and everything.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with me about your experience with COVID-19 that I haven't not asked you?
No, we talked about everything. I think everything is covered.
Okay. Actually, Ms. Sanchez, this is the end of the interview. I just want to thank you again for your time and your responses for the interview questions. And UTRGV thanks you for everything that you're doing for this project. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, this will end the meeting. Thank you so much.